Hello Vault Dwellers, Caedo here, and welcome to another Flux guide for Fallout 76. This one I'll be covering Violet Flux, and what flora to look for when you're searching for it. If you're wondering how to purify raw flux you've already gathered, give the general Flux guide a look too, linked down below. That goes over what you need to know about stabilizing raw flux so you can use it for crafting. If a nuke is dropped on an area, here are the 7 plants you'll want to keep an eye out for when looking for Violet Flux. Giant pitcher plants are exclusive to the Cranberry Bog area in the southeast section of the map. This grows out in the open of the bog and is pretty easy to see from a distance as well, being it's by itself most times. Unmutated, it is red with an orange pattern, and when hit with a nuclear blast, it looks to turn purple with a red pattern. Like firecracker berries or bomb berries, you have to be quick, because getting close to the giant pitcher plant causes it to open up and spew noxious gas. If you don't activate it before that point, it will have lost all use. So be quick with the irradiated pitcher plants. Ginseng is one of the more rare plants you find throughout the game, normally appearing with a green leafy stalk and an orange bulb at the top. But after being in proximity to a nuclear explosion, the whole plant goes a bright neon green, turning into NUKA root. And I've only become aware of 2 locations, some planters in the White Spring and the Dabney Homestead Workshop in the Mire. For how rare it is, not the ideal for finding Violet Flux. The mutated fern, however, grows in most biomes near the base of trees. Its leaves a faded green and the flowers being an off-white with purple. When the mutated fern mutates again, you get flash ferns. Flash fern is probably going to be the most plentiful when it comes to gathering flux, because there's normally more than one growing in the same area. Snaptails appear as a single stalk with a bulb at the end, and sometimes can be found growing around ponds and some creeks. If nearby a mushroom cloud, it has a chance to turn into a CRACKLETAIL, which then turns the bulb purple. Another that doesn't seem too terribly common, and I wouldn't advise nuking a whole area just to get CRACKLETAIL. Like the giant pitcher plants, strangler pods are exclusive to a certain biome too, found growing on the strangler vines in the mire. Because they blend in so well and there are so many vines all over everything, the strangler pods themselves are relatively hard to find. However, when that transformation happens where they go from strangler to glow pods, they start looking more like holiday lights. The glow pods seem to become more plentiful too when this happens, so keep the mire in mind. Next is wild razorgrain, found a lot of times on abandoned farms in just about any area of Appalachia. These amber waves of grain stay this color, and I will say right now that it is a major pain to get wild razorgrain to mutate. And when it does, it doesn't actually appear much different until you pick it and then it turns a purple color. The only razorgrain I could get to change was at the Morgantown Airport Garden. So if you really want to see it for yourself, go ahead and nuke Morgantown. Wild tarberry can grow on the surface of bodies of water. It seems like it's a higher chance the more shallow the water is. In the presence of a nuclear armament going off, the tarberry turns into half-life hips, going full neon purple and making it one of the easiest things to see on a water's surface. Look out for these in the Cranberry Bog as well. Wild TATO blossom and TATO plants are just like razorgrain found on abandoned farms a lot of the time. However, they are much easier to mutate, and when they do, they turn it into AFTERWIND vine, turning them universally into the TATO blossom plant, just with purple flowers instead. Just about anywhere in Cranberry Bog, you'll be able to find Violet Flux by the fistful. If there's trees, there's likely flash fern growing around the base of them, half-life hips resting on the water surfaces in the trenches, and irradiated pitcher plants should be out in the open, ready to spew noxious gas. So as mentioned before, with those you'll have to be quick. Also, if you nuke by the General's Steakhouse instead of the standard Fisher Site Prime, you'll have access to the garden there as well, which you should find a supply of AFTERWIND vine. Another location to consider gathering raw Violet Flux from would be the Harper's Ferry area in the Mire. Here there seems to be a fair balance of violet, crimson, and fluorescent flux to gather. What you'll want to seek out for the raw violet though would be the flash ferns once again near the base of trees, and glow pods, which somehow are forced into growing violently out of these strangler vines once the area has become a glowing wasteland. There are obviously other places to send your megaton ordnance, but these 2 places are where I found the most raw Violet Flux. The Cranberry Bog, especially around the General's Steakhouse, and the Harper's Ferry area in the Mire. After gathering the raw flux you need, do keep in mind that you do need to stabilize it if you plan on using it to craft. I cover that in the general flux guide mentioned earlier, so please give it a look if you'd like to learn more. Did you discover a great place to harvest Violet Flux? Leave a comment, I'd love to hear about it, and I'm certain other vault dwellers would too. If you found this guide useful, entertaining, or both, do whatever it is you see fit to show that, and please consider supporting my channel on Patreon. Want more guides like this? You know what to do. Thanks so much for watching, this is Caedo Genesis, and I wish you a happy Reclamation Day.